So this session will be recorded. Eventually, there will be a transcript as well. You will get the slides. So don't worry about any of that. But let's get started. So thank you for joining me this almost afternoon for our session about adopting a mentoring mindset. My name is Renee Angela Mock. I'm from Mentor, Maryland, DC, and I am thrilled to be here to talk about this topic today for our July professional development session. If you're not sure how you got here and you're not sure who Mentor Maryland DC is, we are a nonpartisan organization that galvanizes the mentoring movement across Maryland and DC, and we are part of an affiliate network of folks from across the whole USA doing the same thing. And actually, some of my colleagues from Mentor Rhode Island are here right now. So hello, Mentor Rhode Island. But we are doing things like this, capacity building for you all. We provide training and research, and the research that this content is based on today is done by Mentor. You've heard of the EEPM, Becoming a Better Mentor. All those kinds of things are from the Mentor Network. So we are happy to be here for you always. Keep in touch if this is your first contact with us. And we do sessions like this every single month. So we love to do it. So thank you for being here and being a part of that. I'm going to get us into our logistics now so we can all have a positive experience here in the virtual space. I know that WebEx is not native for everyone, but it does work for us here at Mentor Maryland DC. So I appreciate you trying something new if you've not been on WebEx before. So towards the bottom of your screen, you should see where you can mute, turn on or off your video, raise your hand, do an emoji reaction. I am going to call on folks to read, to share stories. There will be breakout rooms where discussion will be encouraged or required, right? Please be a host in your breakout room and make the most of the time of those small groups together, because there is quite a lot of us here today. And we'd love to see faces, especially when we're making that face-to-face contact in those smaller groups. But if you can't turn on your video, we also understand. And then, of course, raise your hand if you have a question, drop questions in the chat, and use an emoji reaction as well, just so I know that y'all are here. So yeah, show me some emojis if you guys found that. Towards the bottom right of your screen, it seems you all have found the chat, so that's good. You can connect there as well. And then in the chat, you can send emojis, send a gift, you can tag someone if you are responding to someone's questions. And you can also direct message someone if there is somebody here that you know. So yeah, I hope there is somebody here that you know and that you are here with. It looks like some folks are here with colleagues and things like that. We are going to use something called Slido today, and I'm going to have you join that now. Oh, this is not looking how I want that to look. 1 second. But yeah, keep messing around in the chat and send me an emoji so I know that y'all got it. Give me a second to try to figure this out. All right, we're going to join Slido on our first poll, since that is not doing what I want that to do just yet. And folks are still coming in, so as you're coming in, please introduce yourselves in the chat, and we will keep it moving. Okay. Our goals for today on this foundational topic. Oh my gosh, amazing GIF, Anthony. Get that started in the chat. Is that we're going to understand the need and purpose of mentoring. Of course, I imagine many of you know this, but we're going to talk about that as it relates to data, what's going on in our communities, what's it like to be a young person right now. We're going to reflect on our own journeys to help inform the work that we do with young people. We're going to discuss the core components of the mentoring mindset and kind of, yes, we'll do that in just a second, Kate, and unpack our current approaches to mentoring and what it means for us to really engage in all the components of the mentoring mindset. For those who are familiar, this session is Credly badge eligible. And to earn that badge, we'll need your active participation. So we'll be looking for you to participate in activities, to participate in our Slido, to participate in our chat, in breakout rooms and things like that. I'll be tracking the time that you were in the session, because you'll need to be present for at least 95% of the session, which is the whole session. So these are things that I can all see on the back end. So if you're here and that is a goal of yours, be present. You know, these sessions are really about what you all bring as well. I'm just the facilitator, and I know you all have a lot to contribute. So I appreciate you being here. Let's make the most of it by being really engaged. So to get us started, why do we do it? Why do you do it? Why do we mentor? Could someone come off of mute and read the quote on the screen?
We engage with youth in classrooms, on the basketball court, or on the school bus. Research and best practices suggest that students' relationships with peers and caring adults are a key vehicle for learning critical life skills like teamwork, communication, and coping with and expressing feelings.
Thank you so much. So for those of you who are professionals in youth development all around this call, I imagine that you know this, right? And as we start to talk about the power and potential of mentoring, we'll be looking at it from this adult youth model. But really, the mentoring and this mindset can apply to all relationships, regardless of the ages of people in relationships, right? This can be applied to peer mentoring. So I want to remind us that this framework is applicable, and take it with you, take it to your workplace relationships or informal mentoring relationships with young people in your family. So I want you to keep that in mind as we move forward. But we're going to start with, what is mentoring and how would you define it? So now we're going to join the Slido. So if you go to slido.com, you'll see something that says joining as participant and a hashtag, and you'll type in mentor mindset. It is case sensitive. And when you do, you'll be able to the current poll will be on the screen. So keep this tab open, whether you do that on your phone or your computer. Keep that tab open, but our first poll is, how would you define mentoring? And yeah, just give me a sentence or so about how you would define mentoring, and we'll look through all of our definitions. So if you're not already there, the link to Slido is in the chat. You'll enter the Slido, join with hashtag mentoring mindset, and then it will ask for your name and for the passcode, which is all caps mindset. I'll give folks some time to join so we can get started. And again, keep this up because we'll continue to use it throughout the presentation. It looks like we got some folks in. How would you define it, right? Being a teacher. And we'll talk a little bit more too about who are mentors, right? Being a consistent, trusted adult. Yes. We're going to talk about consistency a lot today. Being a steady, reliable figure in children's life, offering guidance, support, and care. Awesome. The act of being there for someone, right? Keeping it simple. Being there for someone, which encompasses so many things. And we'll kind of get into the nitty-gritty of that today. Someone who's good role model, being able to guide someone with their life goals. Intentional guidance. Love that. Mentoring is consistent, caring relationships that helps young people discover their strengths, overcome challenges, build confidence, achieve their full potential through guidance, encouragement, and positive role modeling. And we're seeing it's catching the repeating of words up here. The passcode is all caps mindset, Courtney. Two-way open line of communication, listening as much as talking. That's good. That's really good. Helping youth be successful, supporting positive outcomes of a young person. You're providing support, guidance, helping them grow, sharing your knowledge, compassion, and care. Coaching, the word coaching is coming up. Being able to positively guide somebody. Guidance is coming up over and over again. Now there are some folks just coming in. You can join at slido.com. Abba, send me a direct message about what's going on your screen. But what we'll also do is that I'll screenshot these when I send out the slides so we can catch all of our good feedback. You guys are all on the right track, and I'll give folks, and there's some folks still coming in, a few seconds to get logged in and contribute to our first poll. If you're just joining in, you'll go to slido.com. It'll say joining as participant, the hashtag mentor mindset, capital M's, and then put in your name and the passcode, all caps mindset. Okay. Helping someone find themselves and purpose, an adult who has experienced patience, love that, and able to provide a safe space for a young person to communicate and grow authentically. Ooh, someone's got the answer right here. I wonder if you got that. Building a trusted relationship, helping mentees work towards their goals, showing up consistently, offering support, guidance, and acceptance. I like that too. We're going to talk about that as well. Last, folks. Being a good listener, providing guidance. My last two, folks. Submit your answers and we're going to keep moving forward. But thank you guys all for these great ideas. You are right on the money. And today's session really is about getting into the nitty gritty. I assume that many of us are practicing a version of the mentoring mindset, but coming to a session like this and being intentional and taking time to view it from the zoom out and the zoom in makes us better at it, right? It makes us revisit our foundational skills and what maybe got us into the work so that we can do that even better. The passcode is all caps mindset, y'all. Providing a brave space for a young person to be their authentic self, and you as a mentor doing the same. Ooh, that is good. You're going to hear a lot of what you wrote come up again, because you guys are right on the money, but there's so much good. But we are going to keep it moving. So we would define it, mentoring is a series of collaborative activities and conversations between young people, older or more experienced people, i.e. mentors, who are acting in a helping capacity to provide support that benefits one or more areas of the young person's development. That, of course, is a pretty technical definition. And you guys really got it, right? You're spending time with young people, we're doing stuff, we're talking, and we're working towards a young person's positive development. A mentor can be, shout out or write in the chat, one maybe that you were not seeing on the screen, a consultant, an accountability partner, a trusted advisor, a coach, a confidant, pardon me, a caring adult, a counselor, a guide, a guru, an instructor, a tutor. Mentors show up in all kinds of roles. And what that means is that the odds of mentors and mentees finding each other is good. And that is what we want, because what we know is, hi, Shahanda. What we know is that there is a gap, that many young people are growing up without a mentor, and that millions of young people are already at risk of certain risk factors that could get in the way of their positive development. And here at Mentor, we believe that access to positive relationships with adults outside of their families can help disrupt these risk factors for young people and get them on the path towards positive outcomes. So mentoring alone cannot solve any issues, and we wouldn't suggest that, right? But that mentoring can help to be a salve as those kind of structural things get figured out. And what we also know is that we're in a time when research is showing us that loneliness and isolation is trending upwards. So relationships are more powerful than ever. So being particularly thoughtful about it and intentional will help all of us kind of again navigate to greater connection, bring us together, and help us connect young people with opportunity. Yes, slides and recording will be available after the presentation. There is a need for mentoring, as we saw, and the proof of why it's important, is right here. Young people are more likely to volunteer in their communities, more likely to have a leadership position, more likely to experience a sense of belonging, which is really, really powerful. And what we know from folks like us, what we've said about being mentors, that most of us have had a positive person who helped us, that we can contribute to our success that maybe we've reached now, and that they're the key relationship that helped us with things like school and things like that, or with our mental health. And what we want is for this younger generation to have that as well, to put up numbers like this or even better than this. So that we're not sure that we're actually trending in that way right now, which is why mentoring and relationships are more important than ever. And doing our best work, putting our best foot forward into these relationships is really important. So again, I appreciate you all already for being here and for engaging in this topic. So the mentoring mindset is a way of thinking and interacting that places young people at the center and allows mentors or other caring adults to be true partners in a young person's journey. So the mindset is a shift. We're decentering the self and the relationship. We're centering the young person. So again, you can serve not just as a guide, the word guide came up a lot, right? But as a partner in their growth journey. But the mentee in the end has ownership of their journey. And we are just a partner supporting their success and positive outcomes. And while we may not have control over every aspect of the programs that we work at, schools, institutions, systems, communities, we have control over one thing, and that is our mindset. And so that is the power of really engaging in this topic today and applying what we are about to learn. Could I have someone read the 4 components of the mentoring mindset that are here on the screen?
Way of
Intentional.
thinking and interacting that places young people at the center and allows mentors or other caring adults to be true partners in a young person's journey.
Thank you. Are you all seeing which is the mentoring mindset at the top of the screen?
Yes, I got a kind of a lag on my computer though.
Oh,
So
okay. You're good. Thank you. No problem. I just want to make sure that people are saying what I'm saying. Okay. So the mentoring mindset's 4 components are to be intentional. We're saying, I see you. To be supportive. We're saying to young people, I got you. To be developmental, here to help. And to be communal, we're in here together. I'm going to pause really quickly because it seems a few people are having lag. So I want to check that it's not my internet. Okay. My internet is looking okay. So sorry that we're all having internet issues. This is life. 2026. Anywho, these are our 4 components of the mindset, and we are going to get into each 4 today in detail. So we're going to start with I see you, being intentional, noticing. So we want to be intentional with everything we do in our mentoring relationship, and that requires us to move with care and slow down a little bit. We want our mentees to feel seen. The power of being seen should not be undervalued. Being seen is that invitation to belonging, which what we know from research is becoming more and more important for a young person's development. A second, y'all. Okay. So to be intentional, we must, could someone read on the screen? To be intentional, we must what?
Person, their goals, interests, skills, personality, etc. Know the context, adverse childhood experiences, trauma-informed principles, youth developmental stages, identity, cultural. Know yourself, your identity, privilege, bias, power, trauma. Use a strength-based lens.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kendra. So if we're going to really see a young person, we're going to see them for all their goals, interests, and skills and be genuinely interested, right? Young people know when we're not serious and where we're not truly paying attention. So being able to do that. We want to know the context of this young person. So I know some of you were at our session a few months ago, we were talking about cultural humility, right? Knowing the full context of who our young person is, the things that make them and inform who they are is really important. So practicing cultural humility is a way of practicing the mentoring mindset. Knowing ourselves, what are we bringing? What lens are we bringing to our relationship with our young person? Long ago, when I was training mentors directly at a program, I always told folks, we need to think back to what it was like to be a young person, because if we don't deal with what our experiences were, we're going to bring our, pardon my French, crap to the relationship, right? We want to deal with what our experiences were so we know what lens we're bringing and that we're not projecting anything onto our young people that isn't specific to them. And then, of course, we want to have a strengths-based range. We want to have a positive and respectful view of our young people and their families. The work of mentoring is not about fixing or saving or having all the answers. We want to check our biases, our motivations, and be able to make the decision not to mentor if our beliefs or motivations are grounded in negativity. We want to start from a baseline where we value young people and we see their strengths first. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. And this is another thing that you're going to want to keep up. We're going to revisit this document throughout the session. So I'm going to drop this in the chat now. And we're going to work on the first part of that. So we're going to do this self-inventory of who showed up for us in each kind of component of the mindset. So for the first one, we're going to take just a few minutes to think about, to what extent did you feel you had someone, again, thinking like when you were a young person, to what extent did you feel that you had someone outside of your parents or guardian who knew your hopes and dreams, your lived experience when you were growing up? Who are you thinking of? And then that same question as an adult, who sees you for who you are? So when you click on that link, it should open a document where you see this and you can write the names of the first 3 people who come up when you ask yourself these questions. Drop a 1 in the chat if everyone's got the document up and sees these questions at the top for the who saw you section. Let me know, y'all. Is this link working? Okay. Cool. I'm gonna give y'all like 2-3 minutes-ish. We're just doing the first section that says who saw you. We're gonna revisit each time and then we're gonna come back to it at the end. So I'll give y'all a little bit to fill that out. But keep this up, and if you don't finish in the time, you can work on it as we move forward in the session. So I'm gonna give you all a minute. Take a minute to fill out just the who saw you section. Did you feel you had someone who knew you, your hopes and dreams, your lived experience? Who was that? Think of 3 people. Drop the link one more time in case anybody missed it. What about now as an adult? Who sees you for who you are? Try to think of 3 folks. You should not need your email to access the document. I just saw someone come in where I just dropped this link in the chat. If you want to click and open that, it should make a copy for you. This is your personal copy, nobody else can see, that you can edit and write your answers. No problem, Beth. Keep that open. We're going to debrief this in a little bit, but I hope this is starting to make you think about what your experiences were, because again, that is part of the work of practicing the mindset as against who are we, what our experiences were, so we can bring our best self to our young people. To be intentional, we want to prioritize our young people's need, make an effort to get to know them. Oh, we just went over this far. Okay. So a tool that we can use to help us see our young people and the strengths they have who they are right in front of us, is the strategy box. So the strategy box is a tool that we can use with our mentee as they are working on a goal, right? It allows us to see what are the things that we've already achieved and how can we use our lessons from those experiences to address this new goal. So to use a strategy box, which requires no tools besides potentially a piece of paper and something to write with, and you're writing the box. But in the first 3 quadrants, you or your young person will write 3 things that you have accomplished. So for this person, they can play the piano, they know how to cook, and they have a good career. And after you've listed the 3 things that you or your young person have accomplished, we want to think a little bit deeper about how did I come to do those things? How did I learn the piano? I took lessons, I read books, my parents were encouraging me. I love music, right? How do I know how to cook? My mom taught me, I took classes, you know, I was brave. I wasn't afraid in the kitchen, which I know many people are, right? How did I get to my career? I did research, I talked to folks in the field, I went to school, my mentor encouraged me. I was up to date. So when we're thinking about the things we've accomplished, we want to consider what were our success factors? How did I progress through the challenge? What was I doing? What actions did I take? So after having that kind of reflective piece in these first 3 boxes, now we're able to think about what is the thing we want to do or get better at. So in this case, this person isn't organized financially, wants to feel organized financially. What we'll be able to do is, as we think about this goal, is to look back on the things we've already done and kind of borrow some of these strategies to address our new goal. So we're able to look back and be like, wow, look at all the things that I've already done. That probably suggests that I can do this new thing that maybe I am struggling with. And that I can actually borrow some of the strategies I've already used to achieve that goal. So thinking about I'm not organized financially, you'll see that each of these strategies they've borrowed from something they've already done. So when we do an activity like this, it sets us up to be in a positive mindset about, wow, look at all the things I've already done. As a mentor, you can help a young person celebrate the things and the skills that they already have, but also give us a strength-based outlook on hopefully the inevitability of reaching this next goal. So as we're trying to do our best to see our young people and see them with a strengths-based lens and guide them along their journey, right? We talked a lot about being a guide as young people are achieving their goals. This strategy box is a really cool tool that you can use to do that. Are there any folks who are actively working or drop in the chat or come off of mute that are working with a young person on a specific goal right now, either because that's part of their program or because the young person has identified their goal they want to do? Yeah, Stephen, tell me about it. Marissa's working on financial literacy. Great. And what I love about this tool is that it really can apply to all different kinds of goals, really, right? And you can see that maybe these 3 goals don't even seem connected, or all 4 of these don't even seem connected, but the strategies of how we show up or how a young person has shown up to accomplish the things that they want to do can be reused. This is confidence building, strategy building, and also a reflection, a strength-based kind of reflection on the things we've already accomplished and how that can encourage young people to move forward. So this is about strategic encouragement and coming in with that strength-based lens. Awesome. So yeah, I hope this for those of you who are working with young people on specific goals, or if you're in conversation with young people where goals come up, that this might be a tool that you're able to use for that. Okay. So for each component of the mindset, we're going to have a mantra, which I was thinking about. Should we come off mute and try to say it together, or should we all just, here's what I'm going to say. You don't have to unmute, but if you want to turn your video on, we're going to say each mantra together when we get to it. So we're going to read the mantra for being intentional. And feel free to join me. I will respect your voice, interests, and identity, be fully present in our interactions, and share my story with you. I commit to being self-reflective. So again, this mantra sets us up to what we are going to do to practice as part of the mindset and what our commitments are. So we're going to be respectful of who young person is, be present when they're with us, share our story, and commit to that self-reflection piece that is so important for being intentional. Okay, cool. We're moving into our second, no problem, Andrea. We're moving into our second component of the mindset, which is being supportive. I got you. So this involves us continuing to be consistent, committing fully to our relationship, being fully present in our interactions, which we also heard echoed in being intentional, right? You'll see some through lines throughout the mindset. To be authentic and honest, to use effective communication strategies like motivational interviewing, active listening, and of course, to do no harm, which is the baseline for mentoring. Consistency is such an important part for mentoring relationships, particularly at the beginning of mentoring relationships when young people are just getting to know us. Young people in the beginning of relationships, they don't know us and they're testing, is this person going to act like other adults that I've interacted with in the past, right? Maybe by people who have let me down, and they're going to put up those tests for you to do it. By being consistent with the simple things of showing up, being ourselves each time we're showing up, that a young person might be able to predict how you will behave, right? Gives a young person comfort as they're getting to know someone new, so that eventually we can get to this piece where a young person can be vulnerable, share their goals and things like that. Consistency is the first thing that we can practice in our mentoring relationship. And especially for young people who are so dynamic, are growing, every day something new is happening, they're changing. It's helpful for them, for us to be kind of a consistent anchor, showing up in kind of the same way each time as they're going through things that are new and difficult. Being fully present, giving folks our attention, being authentically ourselves. Young people know when we're not doing that, when we're not, and calling us out. The most brave young people will call us out directly. Using effective communication strategies, which we're about to talk about. And then the baseline for mentoring is, of course, doing no harm, ensuring that young people are better off than when we found them. We're going to go back to our self-inventory. I will drop the link again for anybody who may have come in. We're going to move on to the who got you. So scroll to the next page and you should see this on top of the next page. And I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes just in case for folks who may need to catch up from the first one. So for who got you, we want to think about who comes to mind as a person or persons who showed up when we needed them, not just in presence, but through active listening and coaching. Name a few people who were or are in your corner. So again, think back to when you were a young person, who showed up for you, who was really listening to you, who helped to coach you, who did you feel were in your corner? I'm going to give you a few minutes. Think about those people. And we'll come back again. Who showed up for you? Who really listened? Who was coaching you? Who was in your corner? Maybe who's in your corner now? And for some of us, it might be that a lot of folks aren't coming to mind when we were young people. Maybe that's why we got into mentoring, right? But if you can't think of someone who was there for you when you were young, who is there for you now? All right, take another 30 seconds. All right. Remember to keep that open. We will come back to it. But now we're going to get into one of the strategies that we're talking about, which is active listening. Active listening is a topic that we could do an entire training on. But to put it simply, we have our little graphic here with some kind of key steps. But what active listening requires of us is to listen attentively, to understand what they're saying, and clarify for understanding. If we do not understand, right, to get on the same page, we want to respond and reflect on what's being said and retain that information for later, right? I'm sure we've all been in situations where we're catching up with someone who we think has remembered something we've talked about in a previous conversation, and it's just not worked out. That could be tough, right? So for our mentees, everything they share with us, we want to hold on to that information so we continue to provide them meaningful support, and that so we can really prove to them that we're listening for them. A choice. Send me a DM so I can help you with that link. Active listening is a skill that helps us build connection, right? It means we're trying to understand where our young person is coming from and paying attention to their verbal and nonverbal cues, right? I think in the ideal, young people are telling us everything as clearly and directly as possible. But when we're actively listening, we're trying to take everything in from our young person communicating with us. So what are the words they're saying? How are they saying them? What's the affect of their face? So we can make sure that we're really understanding where our young person is coming from. So the goal of active listening and being an effective listener is to set a comfortable tone that gives our young person an opportunity to think and speak, right? We want to allow a wait time before responding. We're not finishing their sentences or formulating our own answer before they've even finished, right? It is a practice of patience. We're being focused on the moment. We're giving young people our eye contact, and we're operating from a place of respect as the listener. We're withholding judgment. Active listening and mentoring requires an open mind. We want to be open to new ideas, new perspectives, to be challenged by our young people. And we need to remember that their identity is dynamic. So by really listening to them, we're giving them the opportunity to tell us who they are. And then this last piece, reflecting back, we want to reflect back what we're hearing, ensure we're understanding, asking any clarifying questions. Or getting more detail, or giving our young person an opportunity to give us more detail. Could anybody share an example of when someone was just not doing this? We were trying to share someone with someone, and you could just tell that this person was not really listening. How did you know that they weren't listening? What were they doing? Can you think of a time when someone was doing a terrible, terrible job at this? And how did it make you feel?
Hi everyone, I'm Nubria. And I can think of a time where like I was having a conversation with someone and I was speaking about something, and then when I stopped speaking, instead of responding to what I said, it was almost like they just started talking about something completely different, which let me know that they weren't actually listening to me. They were just waiting for their turn to talk. And it made me feel frustrated and like I wasn't being actively listened to.
Yeah. Right. So once again, they potentially were already thinking about that they wanted to move the conversation on, and they already had their topic queued up, and they truly didn't even engage at all. How did it make you feel in Brio when that happened?
It made me feel frustrated and like they weren't very interested in what I had to say.
Right. Yeah. Frustration, which I feel like is a common feeling for young people because they have so little control over their life. Do you know what I mean? They're being told what to do a lot. So when they have an opportunity to be heard, they might feel frustrated, and that doesn't feel good. And we want folks to be interested in the things we have to say. If our young person is being open enough to tell us something, we are communicating that it's valuable and they are valuable by doing that listening. And then when we say that pardon me, that we're not reflecting back or we're not doing a good job listening, that can feel hurtful when folks feel disinterested. Courtney says, looking away as you're talking or waiting for the opportunity to speak as you're expressing your thoughts, right? And Beth says, interrupting or talking over, lack of accountability or defensiveness. yeah, really reacting really quickly, right? Instead of taking that breath and space to respond and to let somebody finish a thought. Great. So now I want us to think about when someone did it really well and how that made us feel. So we're going to go back to our Slido. And for anybody who wasn't in it, now is your time to join. We're going to build a word cloud. So when someone is doing all that active listening really well, how does it make us feel? Put that into a word because we're building a word cloud. You can submit more than one word after you submit one. But how did it make you feel when someone is doing active listening really well? Good. But it's simple. Yeah, safe, valued, encouraged, empowered, heard. Appreciated, safe, connected, less anxious. That is really good. And while it's smaller on here, I want to talk about why that is important. The process of speaking feelings or thoughts out loud physiologically makes us feel better, period, right? And that is true. That's why talk therapy works and things like that. For a young person, it can be a relief to say something. And when to think about Nabria's situation, if that gets blown past because the person wants to talk about whatever they're talking about, that might be that can communicate that, oh, actually, I shouldn't have said that. It was wrong that I said that. People don't want to hear it. It can make us feel worse, right? So if someone's doing that really well, one, that a young person is saying it is important, is valuable for them. And when we reflect that back, that I heard you, I wanted to hear you right. Again, I'm showing up, I'm interested, I want to hear you and see you. That can make somebody feel less anxious. And I wanted to point that out because I know so many folks right now are worried about young people's mental health, and active listening, really active listening, and the mentoring mindset can help us do that a little bit better for young people. The feeling valued, feeling understood, important, safe and appreciated, connected, heard, good. Yes. Yes, thank you guys so much. I appreciate this word cloud. And again, I'll share the actual word cloud out when we end up sharing the slides with you all. But I love that this is where we came from, that we're talking about young people being valued and important, because I think when we think about how our society's communities view young people at large, that can be, feels like that's in question sometimes about young people's value and what they're bringing to the table. Young people are being complained about and this, that, and the other. And that when we are practicing the mindset, when we're practicing our good listening skills, we are communicating to young people that they are important. And remembering that as a mentor, we may be maybe the only person who that young person is able to talk about some of those things with, right? So it's important that they're getting that information from us, that they are valued, that they're understood, right? Feeling understood is also another thing that helps us feel less anxious, to go back to that. So yes, awesome. Thank you guys so much. The one participant in, I'm gonna let him in. Great, thank you guys. Comforted, yeah. Well, I say to my husband, I'm like, can I just say something? That's if I need to say it, right? I said to get it out. And that could be really comforting. And when somebody really hears you, it's comforting. Okay. We are wrapping up being supportive. Does somebody want to read the mantra for us this time?
The mantra says, I will be curious about you and your journey, be consistent in showing up and collaborate with you, and create a safe and healthy space for us.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And if you remember, for those of us who are at the Practicing Cultural Humility training, that being curious, practicing curiosity is part of that as well. Everything, it's all connected, guys. Okay. For our third component of the mentoring mindset is being developmental and having developmental relationships. So we are, what that means, we're going to say, I'm here to help, right? So to be developmental, we're going to practice the developmental relationship framework, which we are about to get into. We're going to cultivate youth voice, encourage activism and civic readiness, knowledge of systems, and support young people building relationships and how to identify healthy relationships. So we're going to go back to our self-inventory yet again. And again, think about who did this for us. When you encountered a challenge as a young person or as an adult, who was there to help you navigate what you needed? Who helped activate your understanding of your rights, voice, and power? So take a few minutes, think about who did those things for you when you were a young person, or who does those things now. And again, I'll give you some music. Who helped you? You encountered a challenge. Who helped you navigate that challenge? Who helps you now? Take another 20 seconds. Who helped you? Okay. So let's get into the developmental relationship framework. So this is a framework that's been put together by Search Institute. This is also something that we could do an entire training on, but we will get into it. We still have some time to get into it today. But the developmental relationship framework is about relationship practices. So something that both folks in a relationship that they could do for each other, and then the 5 kind of core elements of those practices. So those practices being expressing care for young people, challenging their growth, providing support, sharing power, and helping them to expand possibilities. So I'm going to drop a link to a handout that is the full developmental relationship framework that you can see here on, broken up here on your screen. Let me know if that link works, if somebody can let me know in the chat. But for each of these practices of the framework, we are, thank you, Dahlia, showing young people to express care, show me that I matter to you. You're going to hear this related to the mindset as well, right? To express care, show me that I matter to you, to challenge growth, pushing me to keep getting better, providing support. We already talked about support, right? Help me complete tasks and achieve goals, share power, treat me with respect, and give me a say, and expand possibilities. So connect me with people and places that broaden my world, and we'll continue to kind of get through that. So take a minute to review the framework. And what we're going to do is that we're going to get into groups and go through scenarios. So as you see under each of the elements of the framework, there are different kinds of actions that we can take to do this in relationships. I'm going to drop a document that has scenarios in it. When you move into your breakout room, you will know the number of your breakout room because it'll be in the top left corner once you're there. But you and your group will go to your coordinated, which says group 1 or group 2, etc. in the doc. You'll scroll to your group and you'll see, actually, let me move this over to the screen. This is what you'll see when you open that document. So if you are group 1, your scenario is here, and then you're going to give a strategy that fits each element of the scenario. So in this scenario, your mentee is hesitant to try new activities. If I'm expressing care, what is something that I can do that could help my young person in this scenario? And I see folks that are in the document, so that is good. Keep this open, keep that other document open with the framework. Let me pause recording. I'm going to move you all into group. Welcome back, everyone. I know there was a small snafu with the editing, so I appreciate you making the most of your time because I see folks still got in there and I'm sure y'all were chatting, but I want to go scenario by scenario with just a little bit of time that we have left so we can finish our last component. But the first scenario was your mentee is very hesitant to try new activities, particularly outdoor activities or sports, likely stemming from fear of not being very good. So thinking about the elements, what did your group come up with? So what you might do and how did it correlate with each element? So for those who worked on this scenario, how would you approach? Feel free to come off mute or drop in the chat. How might you use the
So-
framework to help the young person? Yeah.
So I was in breakout room 4, and one of my team members, her name was Miss Sharonda. She said, giving encouraging words, allowing them to do things on their own time instead of forcing them, and taking things in small steps and adjusting the way you guide them based on how they basically based on their learning style.
Yeah. Yeah. And I heard a few things there, right? Encouraging word, expressing care, giving them some ownership about how they're going to participate, that kind of sharing power, providing support. So meeting them where they're at in their learning style. Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Nabria. And for time, I'll keep us moving. Scenario 2, your mentee is disengaged in your mentoring sessions on his cell phone or chatting with friends during session. Anybody who worked on scenario 2 who could come off mute.
We were scenario 2, group 11. I think we were chatting. Yes. And so we discussed asking the group questions so that everyone can start to feel more engaged, and or asking the mentee questions. And anybody in my group, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I actually didn't write. I was sharing. And also just saying to the student, reminding them of why we are there.
Yeah.
That they should be paying attention. So we looked at that chart too. We did it. We first went through the page and then we went back and looked at the chart to see how our responses fit into the search chart. But yes.
Yeah, no, I see that too, right? This accountability piece, this is what we're agreed to do while we're here. Yeah, how do we challenge and growth? How do we still provide care and support, give them some agency with how they spend their time with us, and remind them what we have to offer too, as it relates to expanding possibilities. Great. And then this last scenario, your mentee is frustrated with their homework. They cannot seem to understand the basic concepts and refuse to try. Anybody who worked on scenario 3, the mentee is frustrated with their homework. How can we use the developmental relationship framework to support them? Oh, Grace, thank you. So expressing care, validating their feelings, really important. Challenging growth, encouraging and reminding them they are capable, right? That strength-based lens that we've already been practicing with the mindset, providing support, right? Practically, how will we face the situation of them doing their homework, maybe a study schedule, who else may be able to ask for support, sharing power, giving them the agency to set the plan, and invite us in for accountability. Great, thank you so much. Thank you all for your work. This could be the topic of an upcoming training. We'll talk about the next training at the end of today. But to wrap up developmental, our mantra is, I'll be curious about you and your journey, be consistent in showing up, and collaborate with you and create a safe and healthy space for us. So our last section of today is communal. We're in this together. Young people must know that we love them, right? So to be communal, we must connect the youth to resources, access available resources to continue our learning, which you all are doing today by being here, connecting youth to other caring adults and building their web of support, and also unconditional positive regard, which I'm realizing is not on the screen. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So for our final self-inventory, before we debrief it after this, I'm going to give us just 2 minutes. But who modeled how to build positive relationships to you when you were young? What do you think these people learned and affirmed from their interactions with you? Remembering that mentors, people, and mentors we had, mentors we are, we get things from relationships as well. But what did they maybe get out of their interactions with us? But also, who was modeling how to build positive relationships? Think of a few folks. We'll come back together in a minute or so, and we're going to move forward with our next concept. Who modeled positive relationships? And what did they learn from you? Right. An important part of this portion of the mindset and young people knowing that we love them, right, is this concept of practicing unconditional positive regard. So unconditional positive regard means I care about you, you have value, you don't have to do anything to prove it to me, and nothing will change my mind. It's seeing somebody as a whole and complete worthy person, starting from a place where care doesn't have to be earned. It's just assumed. Everybody gets care. You're allowed to mess up. You're allowed to have struggles. But that is never going to invalidate your worth. It is never going to invalidate my care for you. So this idea of unconditional positive regard, it is a practice, right? We want young people to always feel like we will look on them positively, that we care about them, and that we love them no matter how they show up, even if they make mistakes, even if it doesn't go as planned. We want young people to know, again, that we're doing the mindset, right? That we see them, that we support them, that we're there to help them, and that we care about them, and they are an important part of our community for that communal aspect. But I don't think it's to say that it's always easy to do this. And I know anybody who's been a child and had parents, right? There are times where our parents are frustrated with us, right? And it's a little bit harder to practice that unconditional positive regard, even though they have it, right? So we're going to do a quick practice. of thinking about how we would respond to a young person. So thinking first, often we respond with things like giving advice where we were not asked, or uh, maybe a little bit, maybe we think we're challenging growth or being a little bit more critical or minimizing their feelings. So a mentee says, I missed the deadline for the assignment. If we're not practicing unconditional positive regard, we might be like, I can't believe you forgot it. We wrote it in your notebook. Come on, man, etc., etc. So I want us to just kind of quickly, I'll put a few other scenarios on the screen. If we're practicing unconditional positive regard, how might we respond when our mentee tells us, I missed the deadline for the assignment? If we're doing our best unconditional positive regard, what might we say to our young person when they let us know that they missed the deadline for the assignment? Feel free to come off mute or write in the chat.
Would probably try to find out why they missed the assignment at first. Maybe it's some of the issue that got them off track.
Right.
And to see if we can work a way together in which they find a solution to better that in the future. And also to talk to their teacher or professor to see if they can make, in a sense, amends, or maybe they can make up that homework assignment or what
Right.
have you in some way, so that at least they get some sort of grade out of it. So, they'll progress through the class.
Right. I think
But
knowing that,
we
right,
also,
it's not all over, right?
yeah,
This is one thing, one assignment. It's not the end. And getting context, right? This being curious piece, right? We're like, well, what did happen? We may think that we know, right? Like, we put your planner together. This is your schedule. You did have time to do the assignment. We might think we know those things, but again, that curiosity piece to getting the full context of the situation, so we can see what the next plan is, right? We're not giving up. We'll figure it out. Maybe we can make up the work. We can talk to the teacher, etc. But Courtney is saying, give yourself grace. Try to get more understanding. Ask what happened. Be curious about it. Thank you for being honest. Do you know why this happened? Like, right, what's their perception of what that was, and helping them make a plan for next time.
Hey,
Okay,
Renee,
we're
I
good.
wanted to add in something really quick. This is Trina Carter.
Yeah.
I actually have a mentee that this was a real scenario, but part of her scenario is she's a single mom of 2 young daughters. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So while being a student parent, we had this scenario where she was missing real critical assignments, but
Yeah.
myself and one of the other coaches didn't know this until like 3-4 assignments had been missed. But to the conversation, it became, why hadn't you told us? Because we would have been helping figure out, is there some care you need for the children while you need to study? There was some other personal things going on that we weren't aware of. And what we could help with, we did, because we ended up finding out there was issue with her laptop and her software. So, it's having more in-depth conversations, but also making it presentable to them. We can't help with what we don't know. And so we were able to get her back on track, but it was also having to dig a little deeper, like how we got there, but also helping with the resolution more so than just identifying what the problems were.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, right, when young people do share with us and give us that context, right, because just because we asked doesn't mean that young people will, share with us. So letting young people know that we appreciate them sharing with us, right? And now with that more information, like, now I can help you with this. I appreciate you sharing with me that. Now that I know that, like, let's figure out our plan and how I may be able to help, or how I may be able to connect you with other resources. I want to skip to this last one so we can
sorry.
keep it moving. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to share that sometimes I find that we move from the care to the resolution a little bit quickly. And so sometimes just sitting into, oh my goodness, and just empathizing with the situation, because sometimes that reaction, if we move too quickly from, oh, okay, let's figure it out, actually you don't get all the information because of just our initial reaction. So if we're able to sit in the empathy and just say, oh my gosh, I'm sure, and just love on them. I think somebody said to extend grace to them, but really just that, how do you care? Because obviously it's an important thing they're experiencing. So sit in the experience for a moment and empathize and care about the situation that has arisen, and then move on to, okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. But sometimes if we move too quickly, they feel like we're being dismissive and we don't really care about the situation, and we just care more about the outcome.
Right, exactly. And under the positive regard is right. It's about that we care about them, right? They are more important than this assignment, and that we want to show up first with acceptance and empathy again, so that this young person knows that they can make mistakes and we still love them when we continue to show up, and that we're still being curious, we're not judging them. And then when they're asking for our advice or for our support, right? Because maybe they do know what to do. Also, we're assuming that they don't know, and that's why they didn't get it in, right?
Yeah.
We
There's
want to hear
also,
about how their feelings and things like that.
yeah.
Go ahead.
It's also an opportunity to say, if we have failed, we've done the same thing, so that they know that they're not alone, that it happens to people. So just to explore the situation a little bit more before we jump to the solutions.
Yeah, right. That exact thing. And that again, thanking folks for, people for sharing, to letting folks know that this is not, you're not alone in this situation. Actually, right. This is what I bring. I had that same experience, and this is how I felt when that happened, and it sucked or whatever, right? Like, so you're having that empathizing piece, putting their feelings first, and then once they're kind of wrecked, being like, oh, maybe like, right, my mentor is still encouraging me, like I will be able to figure this out and it will be okay. Thanks, guys. Yes, really great thought. This is a great kind of activity to do with maybe folks who may be training to be new mentors or things like that, right? How do we practice that? How would we immediately respond? Because also often we have this kind of reflex to make it right quickly, right? Without putting the young person and their feelings first. But this is an activity to take with you. Again, this communal piece of young people being part of our communities, being connected in their communities. We want to remind them people of all the possibilities of who is there to support them, right? It takes a village. So the idea of this activity is for our mentee to put everything about their identity, the things they want to do and accomplish, and to go around the different kind of categories of community and resources to say who is there that could possibly support me. And as a mentor, maybe you could be a broker of them getting more connected, with a resource, with someone in their community, that expanding possibilities piece, maybe getting them more connected with teachers or human resources at their school so that they can be more connected. So that is an activity if you would take with you, so young people can see that we're just one person in their corner, but actually their community is there for them, and there's a lot to do. Okay. Our last mantra: we will teach and learn from each other, leveraging networks and resources for mutual beneficial growth of ourselves, our relationships, and our communities. You don't have quite as much time as I wanted, but if you scroll down to the end of your self-inventory reflection, pardon me, I'd love for one or two people to share who came up each kind of time we did that list, and we were thinking about the people in our lives. Who continued to show up on your list? And what would you say to that person if you could talk to them now about it? Now that we have this realization that this person supported us so much.
So, when I was a teenager, I worked in DC, but I worked for like the community neighborhood planning council, and I was at Sasha Bruce. You probably heard of Sasha Bruce Youth Work. So that was my placement. And so the work I did in the community, because my supervisors were counselors, so I would say they showed up over and over again in my list. And the thing that was really helpful for me was that they were very patient. They were really patient because I wasn't a client, but I mean, I still was a young person who needed mentoring. So they did. And I would say that worked really well. But in my adult life, I would say, like patience is a really good one to have with people. And so when I work with young people, consequently, I'm usually really patient with them. So much that I've had other people say to me, wow, you were really patient with that. I'm like, well, people were patient with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Tony. You brought up so many good points, right? One, it's that designed about young people who need mentoring, right? All young people can benefit from mentoring, and that's the point, right? We want to close the mentoring gap. We want all young people to have mentor-like figures in their lives, and there is benefit to that no matter the circumstances of the young person. Again, this idea of patience, and that we will end up reflecting back to the young people we work with today, our experiences, right? So if folks who are really patient with us and we saw the value of that because we experienced it, we're more likely, and hopefully we're going to practice that with our young people that we interact with. So I encourage you, since you have that document and you'll be taking it with you, to go through this final reflection, see what came up about who these people are, how did they do it, right? What actions were they taking? And then this last question, how can we take that to the young people in our life now? Knowing what we know about the mentoring mindset and with these reflections of all the people who were there for us when we were young. Awesome. That's right. So this is our goal, right? That young people feel this way, that they're loved and happy and strong and supported, that we see them, that we're there for them, that we're there to help, and that they are part of this community and they are with us together. Okay. Thank you guys so much. We are in our final minute. I wanted us all to actually vote, or give you guys the chance to vote on what our next topic should be for training. So go to Slido for the last time, and you'll be able to rank your preference for topics. So you'll drag them up 1 through 4, 1 being the one you want the most, obviously 4 being the least, and that may influence our next training. Yes, under any documents we referred to today, any polls that we did will be sent out with the recording. I'm going to leave this up now. We're in our final minute. I will also going to drop in the chat the evaluation for today's training. Again, these evaluations help us inform for further trainings, but also help us communicate to our funders that you find these trainings valuable and you want these trainings to happen, right? We're looking for a sponsor for these trainings so we can keep doing these for you. But these, I'll email out that evaluation as well, but I'll leave this up for a few minutes for folks who want to participate in the poll. But thank you all for being here. Thank you for engaging. You guys were amazing. The chat was amazing. Hopefully I'll be able to send up the chat as well. But a recording and all these things will be coming to you soon, before the end of next week. You should look for that. So if it's the end of next week and you haven't heard from me, shoot me an email. But thank you all for being here. I'm going to stop our recording.